Chodesh Tov. We are, Baruch Hashem, starting a nice journey now of 60 days of very special energy. And every month we do the same class about the energy, the power, the sense, what can be achieved in the month. But now we suddenly get an addition. Usually we just count 12 months. Now we get an extra month, a 13th month. And really the Adar Aleph, the first Adar, it's an addition. The main one is Adar Bet. So when there's not a leap year, then Adar is a standalone month. Now when we have an extension, one would think that the first Adar is the main and the second Adar is the secondary, but it's the second Adar, Adar Bet, that says the main, and the first Adar is the secondary. That's where we see that Purim is in the second month, second Adar, not in the first Adar. But nevertheless, we have a leap year. It's very hard to teach Torah in English because leap doesn't mean anything. In Hebrew, it's called Shana Me'uberet. The month is a pregnant month. Me'uberet is pregnancy. Ibur is pregnancy. When a woman is pregnant, in Hebrew, I know in street Hebrew they say Beherayon, but the proper Hebrew is Me'uberet. A woman that is carrying a baby, she's called Isha Me'uberet. A leap year in Hebrew is called Shana Me'uberet, Chodesh Me'ubar. And in English, the word leap, it doesn't really touch the nerve. But nevertheless, we're going to use the Hebrew term, and instead of saying a leap year, we'll say Chodesh Me'ubar and Shana Me'uberet, which means that we have an extra month, and this month is a month of pregnancy. Now, there's a lot of information that I want to go through today, unbelievable information, so I'll try to go slow but fast at the same time. So you might have to watch the rerun a few times to get the idea, but keep your head up high, and Bezrat Hashem, the point is very important. So again, we're going to go to the term that we use in Hebrew for the month. It's called Ibur. And I'm sure you heard the term when we're learning about reincarnations. We know about the term Ibur, pregnancy or impregnation. And what does it mean, Ibur? That we go in the Jewish calendar by the moon, not by the sun. And we have a cycle of the moon, and every month is different. Now we go by calendars. At the time of Bet HaMikdash, we actually went by witnesses. Now they have a way to calculate it. Even though, by the way, that at the time of Bet HaMikdash we would go by witnesses, even then they knew how to calculate it. But nevertheless, they still went by witnesses. And the Jewish calendar goes by the moon cycle, not by the sun cycle. Now, what happens is that if you go by the sun, a year, by the sun cycle, then you have 365 days in the year. And what is this 365 days? It's the 365 days when Earth and the sun complete a whole cycle of a how do you say, hakafa, a whole circle, rotation. So, and that takes 365 days, and this is pretty, it's consistent, it's accurate. But when you go by the lunar month, when you go by the moon, it's not going to be always the same. Now what's going to happen is that if you're comparing the cycle of the sun and the cycle of the moon, at some point they lose their being parallel. So you know, the secret of this ibur, of this impregnation, this is very, very difficult calculations. Very few people know how to calculate the calendars. I'm sure you noticed that on Shabbat, last Shabbat, like any other Shabbat before Rosh Chodesh, we announce the birth of the month. So we say it's going to be the day, we mention the hour, the minutes, and parts, chalakim. how many parts are in the minute and in the seconds. And nevertheless, the calculation is called Sod HaIbur, the secret of the Ibur, of the pregnancy. Very difficult calculations. Now, the way it works is that every 19 years, there's going to be one cycle. And in this cycle of 19 years, 7 times we're going to hit a Shana Me'uberet, a leap year. And the way it works is that if they start together, the cycle of the moon and the sun, so in the 3rd year, there's going to be a leap year. In the 6th year, another leap year. In the 8th year, another leap year. In the 11th year, another leap year. In the 14th, the 17th, and the 19th. This is the cycle how it's going to go. Every 3rd year we have a leap year. And the term to it is called Machzor Katan, a small cycle.
Sorry, you said 17 and 19?
I said 17, so I meant 19. That's what I said, 17 or 19?
No, you said 14, then 17,
Yeah.
and then 19,
Yeah.
but it's only 2 years.
That's where the calculation comes in a very weird way. We'll put it now in these words. But yeah, maybe I'm saying maybe I said 17. But what I meant is 19. It's a cycle of 19 years. And then you have the 3rd year, 6th year, 8th year, 11th year, 14th year, 17th year, and the 19th year. This is the years that we're going to have the leap year. Now, very, very interestingly, this is where you now pay attention, and whatever is not clear, maybe write it down, and later on I'll answer, because we have to really follow every little detail to really see the magical message that we can take from that. So we have a cycle, it's called a Machzor Katan, a small cycle of 19 years. 19, the number 19, is the numerical value of the name Chava. Now, I'm sure you're familiar with Chava. Chava is the first mother. And even though her name is Chaya, not Chava, but nevertheless, originally her name is Chaya. After the sin, her Yud fell into the Klippa, so she became Chava. And she's the first mother. She's the first woman on this planet that ever got pregnant. So we have a cycle of 19 years where you have the leap years going in, and the numerical value of the name Chava is also 19. And she's the first woman that got pregnant. And you have to now focus constantly on the idea of this pregnancy, or in Hebrew, Ibur. Now, we know that a woman is compared to the moon, and the moon sometimes is full, and then it's not full, it's empty, and then it's full and empty and full and empty and full and empty. And the woman is also compared to the moon, and also the woman has her cycle. Now, when does it happen that we have a leap year? And it's really hard for me to keep saying this leap year, because in Hebrew you would say Shana Me'uberet, when the year is pregnant. Now, when would you have a year that it's pregnant? That the moon and the sun, the years meet together. That's when you get the pregnancy. Then you have Shana Me'uberet. Now, that's when the year of the moon and the year of the sun, they'll be parallel to each other, and the result will be pregnancy. Now, what does it tell me? What does the month of Adar tell me? And especially, I want to focus today about the first part of Adar. Next month, we'll have another class about Adar. So this week, this class, we're going to concentrate on what's called Adar Aleph, on the first Adar, which is the secondary Adar, because Adar Bet is the main Adar. Like I said before, that's when we celebrate Purim. Purim is not in the first Adar, it's in the second Adar. And if somebody was born on Adar, then on the year when there's a Shana Me'uberet, then the birthday is pushed to the next month. So today we're going to concentrate on Adar Aleph, on the month that is called the pregnant month. Now we know, we've been through this already for 3 years. We learn, and even before that I'm sure you know, that based on the teachings of Kabbalah, every month is created with a certain letter. And the month of Adar was created by the letter Kuf. The letter Kuf is the 19th letter in the alphabet. If you count the letters, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, and so forth, I know the numerical value of Kuf in Gematria, in the simple Gematria, is 100. But nevertheless, Kuf is the 90th letter in the alphabet. So again, we're getting into this number 19. Now, more than that, what is this letter called? The letter Kuf is called the letter of laughter. And we'll touch this soon. I mean, we know that Mishenichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. When Adar starts, we increase joy and happiness. And we'll find out exactly what it means that this letter is called the letter of laughter. Now, as we learn every month has a sense. The sense of the month of Adar is laughter, is tzchok, the sense of tzchok, of laughing. This year we're lucky, we're getting 60 days. Usually it's 30 days. Now we're getting double the power. Now, very, very interestingly, now this is where you have to really start paying attention. The month preceding Adar is the month of Shvat. If you remember, we had this class a month ago. What is the letter that creates the month of Shvat? If you remember, the letter Tzadik. So we have, in the month of Shvat, we have the letter Tzadik. In the month of Adar, we have the letter Kuf. Now, if you're taking the word laughter in Hebrew, how do you say to laugh in Hebrew? Laughter? Tzchok. How do you write tzchok? Tzadik, a chet, and a kuf. Now, if you're taking the two letters of Shvat and Adar, Tzadik and Kuf, that's the majority of the root of the word laughter. Take the word laughter, tzchok, you have the Tzadik and the Kuf, these are the letters of Shvat and Adar. So that's the majority of the root of the word, is already, we can find the letters in the month of Adar and the month of Shvat. What is in between? The letter Chet. Now, very, very interesting. Who's the first son that Chava had? I said that Chava is numerical value of 19, right? So who's the first son that she had? Hevel. Now, if you take the letter Kuf, it's the 19th letter in the alphabet, which means that Tzadik is the 18th letter in the alphabet. 18 and 19, what's the number you get? 37, numerical value of the word Hevel, the first son of Chava, right? Now, what's the letter that we have in the middle between the Tzadik and the Kuf? Tzadik relates to Adar, Kuf relates to Tzadik relates to Shvat, Kuf relates to Adar, and in the middle I have a letter Chet. What is this Chet? When you laugh, you know, in English, when you're texting, you write LOL, right? The other day, my son saw somebody writing LOL. He was telling me, what is LOL? I told him it's an acronym of laughing out loud. Now, how do you say when you laugh in English? How would you do a laughter? You will do ha ha ha. You know how you do it in Hebrew? Ha ha ha. So you have the Tzadik of Shvat is the first letter. The Kuf of Adar is the last letter, and in the middle I have a Chet, and what is Chet is ha ha ha, ha ha ha, the laughter. Now, I want to take something from that, and I have a mission. In the next 60 days, I have a mission. What is my mission? To find the positive laughter in my life. Because there's a lot of laughter in our life. The majority of it is false laughter, or mockery, or negative laughter. But I have now 60 days of a mission to find the positive laughter in my life. Everybody likes laughing. I mean, it's the best thing if somebody would ask, at least me, I don't know other people, what's the best thing you can have throughout the day? Is a few minutes of laugh. Everybody wants to hear a good joke. Everybody wants to be happy. Sometimes you can have a bad day, depressed. All you need is 5 minutes of laughter and the day is completely different. If a person would take 5 minutes, 10 minutes out of their day just to laugh, they do the biggest chesed with themselves. And I tell many people, even if you have to watch something that is not the most appropriate, of course not something that is immodest or evil, but something, so that at least it makes you laugh for 5 minutes. It's good to laugh. Sometimes people come and they hear, especially my wife, she says, I hear you laugh all the time. Now, yeah, because sometimes I take a break throughout the day and I will listen to something or do something that will make me laugh. Why? You need to recharge your body with some laughter. So I have a mission in this next 60 days to find this positive laughter in my life. Why? Because most of the laughter in my life is very negative. In Hebrew it's called holelut veleitzanut. Leitzanut is like clownery or acts of clown, when you laugh in the account of another person. And holelut means that you're laughing of nonsense. Either something that is extremely inappropriate, or like a situation that is not a right situation. And a lot of the laughter, really when you're looking at it, it's actually very, very, very sad to see. If you go now on the social networks, Facebook, YouTube, all these social networks, if you look at the videos of a good shiur Torah, then they have a few thousand views. But if you stumble across a video of somebody falling, it will have 60 million views. The videos that have the most views are the videos of people falling, embarrassing moments, people doing all sorts of mistakes, pranks. These are the videos that they get millions of views, millions. Because somebody's riding on a bike and he falls. And everybody laughs. So this is a type of this laughter. This is not a positive laughter, that I laugh on the account on somebody else. So I have to find out, or to reveal the real positive laughter in my life. Now there is many places in our sources that say you got to be very careful from the wrong laughter. Rabbi Akiva says, "Sachok v'kelot rosh ma'avirim et ha'olam min ha'olam." A person when he is lightheaded and causing a lot of jokes, it can cause a person to completely lose his position in this world. And he says, "Chok v'kelot rosh margidim et ha'adam le'erva." When you're too much laughing and jokes, and it brings you to a place of a lot of impurity and immorality. But there's another place that we can find in the scripts in the book of Kohelet, where it says, Shlomo HaMelech says, the verse in Hebrew says, "Leschok amarti mehulal ve'lesimcha ma'u oseh." The translation to it is, of laughter I said, it is mingled. And concerning joy, what does this accomplish? Saying in other words, when you're too busy with laughter and joy, but when it's fake, you don't accomplish anything. It's fake. It's completely empty laughter. It's not real. And unfortunately, you see that the majority of people, how they get their laughter is something that is completely fake and empty. Now, how do I know in my life what is the negative laughter and what is the positive laughter? And not only that, where does the positive laughter come from? Because if I would constantly be happy, then my life would look completely different. Now, if it's fake laughter, fake happiness, fake joy, then it will last for a minute, for half an hour, for half a day. And that's it. And then I'm back to square one. That's the problem in our generation, that most people, they don't know how to deal with their reality. So they need to somehow bring a third party or substance to overpower or to cover what they can't produce by themselves. And unfortunately, many people, they fight depression and sadness and many emotional problems like that. And what is the solution in our generation is, here, take a pill. Why? What is the pill going to do? Well, the pill works in such a way that it affects different parts of the brain, and so a person gets a break for 3 hours. So instead of being heavily depressed or sad, then however the way the chemical works on the brain, that it's whatever hormone or whatever chemical that it releases in the brain, the person has a relief for an hour or two. But it's a fake solution, because then the effect of the pill wears off, then you need the pill again. Now you end up depending on the pill. And then at some point the dose will not help, you need to increase the dose and so forth. And the problem is that this, I'm just giving one example out of many. There's many other bandages that people are looking how to shut down the depression, the sadness, the emptiness, the stress. So one person will be the pill, another person will be alcohol, another one will be drugs, another one will be all sorts of momentary excitements. But imagine you would be able to find the way that how I can produce within me the real happiness and the joy, that I don't need all these substances and all these fake assistance. So I need to know, where can I bring out this positive laughter, that I'm in a good mood. So what if I have debt? So what if right now I got dumped? So what if life is not shining on me right now? Who says that I have to be depressed, sad, or without any energy to do anything? So I need to know, how am I getting this real simcha, this real happiness from within me. Now, in order for us to really pinpoint this, then I have to go to the source. Whenever you want to find an answer, you have to go to the source. Right now, my question is, how do I produce real joy, real happiness? That if you put me now in the worst place in the world, I'll still be happy and smiling. I want to have that. Most of the world, unfortunately, is depressed. And chas v'shalom, I'm not saying it in any way to hurt anybody or to put somebody down. This is a very hard planet. This is a very hard world. And it's becoming worse and worse. And the situation here is so bad that, most people are very, very heavily depressed or sad, or feelings of anxiety and fears and lonely and so forth. So wouldn't you want to have this magic pill that can cause people to be happy? Of course. And we don't want the pill. The pill is a substance. It's a fake happiness. So I'm getting to the point that I want to know, this is the mission I have in this month. How can I find this real, true joy and happiness and laughter? So I have to go to the text. I have to go to the source to find out, how do I do it? This is a chlala rule. Anything that you want to find a solution, go to the source. Don't look for fake answers. That's the problem with most people. They want a solution that's already a good thing, but then they go to get the answer from the wrong place. You want the answer to anything, you will only find it in the Torah. There's no any other place to find the answer. So let's go to the Torah. Now, the word laughter in Hebrew is called tzchok. And I mentioned it's tzadik, chet, and kuf. These are the three letters. Tzchok, this is the root. Matzchik, tzachak, tzachakno, but the root is tzchok. Where do I find the first time in the Torah this idea of tzchok, of laughter? With Yitzchak, exactly, with Sarah and Yitzchak. That's his whole name is Yitzchak. Yud Tzachak. Now, if you remember, when the angels came and they told Abraham he's going to have a child, he laughed. Right? Who else laughed? Sarah also laughed. They both laughed. What did Sarah say? Tzchok asa li Elokim. When Yitzchak was born, he says, God made me have a laughter. You know, when you're excited, you laugh. Something, you know, you see it the most with kids. When you see that they get too excited, they start laughing. Sometimes people think that another person is weird or odd behavior because they laugh. Some people, they don't know how to contain their emotions, so it comes out as laughter. But nevertheless, when a person is very, very excited or very, very happy, it brings overwhelming feelings of laughter and joy. That's one of the many reasons why we cry when we're excited. Because, you know, the majority part of the brain is water. The whole brain is full of water. Now, when I cannot contain a certain excitement, this is what's called ribuy orot bekelim, too many lights in the vessels, so the water just breaks down and it comes out through my eyes, because that's the closest exit to where the water can come out. But the excitement, it overwhelms my senses, so I don't have the tools, the kelim, the vessels to hold the water, to contain it, and it breaks down. So when a person is overly excited, they will cry. So when Sarah had Yitzchak, what did she say? Tzchok asa li Elokim. God has made the joy for me. Imagine Sarah, 90 years old, she doesn't have a child. Suddenly she gets a child. Now, the word tzchok, laughter, is related to the first birth in Jewish history, which is, of course, Yitzchak. Now we're talking now, the whole month of Adar Aleph is the month of pregnancy. So you'll see the term pregnancy, labor, birth is constantly going to come back in this class. But the first time that we are acquainted with the idea of laughter in the Torah is related to birth. When Yitzchak was born, Sarah said, God has made laughter and joy to me. Now, why was it such a joy? Because this whole birth was not natural. Sarah is 90 years old. She doesn't even have a womb. Avraham Avinu is 100 years old, and they have a child. So the whole birth, the whole scene is beyond nature. And what do we see that laughter comes? When did laughter came? Right after birth. So in order for me to reach to the place of laughter, has to be a birth. Because that's the first time that we see in the Torah. When did laughter come? After the birth of Yitzchak. Yitzchak was born, came laugh. Which this is already a rule, you can already mark that down, that when does laughter come? After birth. So I want to laugh all day long. If it was up to me, I would laugh all day long. Who doesn't want to laugh? But if I want to reach to this place, so what does Torah tell me? Laughter comes after birth. Okay, now let me figure out what's this birth. Now, if you're looking at the dimension of time, because only in this world there's a dimension of time. The second you leave this world, there's no such a thing as time. Any other dimension besides this world, there's no such a reality of time. This is the only dimension in this world that we're bound to time. So in this dimension of time, there is some type of a control, some type of sequence or code to control and to create time. Just imagine that when Hashem created the world, He needed a place to put the world. This is called makom, and He needed time that the world will be controlled by time. These are the two things that Hashem had to create when He wanted to do this world. Makom and zman, time and place. So in the realm of time, there has to be some type of a control, some type of a power that's controlling the time in this realm of time. This is called Sod HaIbur, the secret of pregnancy. Because in order to birth something into a reality, there has to be the concept of time, or the concept of this reality. Now, the month of Adar, which is called the month of pregnancy, that's why our sage says, Mishenechnas Adar marbim besimcha. When Adar comes, you increase joy. Why don't you increase joy in Nisan? We went out of Egypt. That's a pretty good reason to be happy. Why don't you increase joy in, in any other month? In Sivan, we got the Torah. But specifically, we increase joy in Adar. Why? Because Adar is called a month of pregnancy. Now, very, very interestingly, and again, this is where the terminology and the words and the language becomes a barrier, because when you read the material that we're talking about now, there's a term that is called the Sod HaIbur, the secret of pregnancy. The numerical value of the two words Sod HaIbur is 353, which is exactly the numerical value of the word Simcha, happiness. So, in order to reach happiness, I have to have the secret of pregnancy. And when we see words that they're sharing the same numerical value, then they have a common denominator. So just remember, Sod HaIbur, the secret of pregnancy, numerical value of 353, and the same numerical value of the word Simcha, of happiness and joy. So, also, there's another interesting gematria. If you go to the book of Tehillim, chapter 25, verse 14, there's a certain part in the verse that it says, Sod Hashem, the secret of Hashem, lere'av, for the ones who fear Him. It's a famous verse in Tehillim. The secrets of Hashem, you want to receive some secrets of Hashem, you have to fear God. You cannot receive any secrets of the Torah if you don't fear God. So David HaMelech says, Sod Hashem lere'av. And you know what's interesting? The gematria, the numerical value of these three words, Sod Hashem lere'av, is 365, same numerical value. And the translation of this verse is, the secret of God is with the ones who fear Him. So now I'm getting another element here. So I have to add here, is the element of fear. if I want to receive any type of secrets, it can only come with joy. All the prophecies, they only got, they received, all the prophets received prophecies when they were happy. The Arizal said the Arizal was constantly in a state of simcha. And he said that he would only reveal the most deepest secrets the more he was in simcha, the more he was happy, the more he would receive secrets of the Torah. So the condition to receive any type of godly revelation, needless to say, I have to be in an unbelievable state of happiness, but to reach to this level, then I have to have Yirat Shamayim, I have to be God-fearing. I can't reach to such a level if I'm not God-fearing. If I'm just going to laugh all day long, a lot of people say, you know what, excuse my way of expressing myself, but people say, you know, I'll smoke marijuana all day long, and all day long I'll be with a smile on my face, and maybe I'll get some prophecies here, no? That's the problem with a lot of people, that they smoke all day long. They think they're getting prophecies. But nevertheless, that's not prophecies. You're not getting any prophecy, because it's not real laughter, it's not real happiness. It's fake. So, in order to receive any level of prophecy, has to be laughter, happiness, but first of all has to be Yirat Shamayim, God-fearing. Now, when I have God-fearing, when I have Yirat Shamayim, that's what's guarding me not to fall into this mockery and clownery, because I have Yirat Shamayim. So it's saving me, this God-fearing, from losing my balance, so to say. Now, and if I know how to not to fall into mockery and being foolish and clownery, that's when I can start making room for the real laughter. If I'm busy with fake laughter, then I will never have real laughter. How can I make room for the real laughter? I have to have Yirat Shamayim, because when I'm God-fearing, I'm not going to mock somebody. I'm not going to laugh because somebody fell off a bike. If you see somebody falling off a bike and you laugh, something's wrong here. Most people, they'll see somebody falling. That's all these videos that you see online. You see a waiter going with a tray full of drinks, and they tip over and they fall. Everybody, The poor person just hurt himself, maybe loses his job. That's what's making you laugh. So if you're laughing at situations like that, you know the situation is not good. So you need to move away this clown behavior and mockery to make room for the real laughter. And then you have the ability of start receiving some godly revelation. Now, if we're gonna continue this image that we have of the month of Adar, that it's a pregnant year, then if I understand that Adar is the month of birth, so what was the month that started the pregnancy? The month before, right? If Adar is the month that I call the month of birth and the month that was pregnant, then the month before that, Shvat, that was the month that started the pregnancy. Now, very, very interestingly, we said the month of Adar, the letter that created the month of Shvat is Tzadik, and the letter that created the month of Adar is Kuf. And the same way that Shvat gives birth to Adar, right? Because if Adar is the birth that the month that is born, it means that Shvat gave birth to it. So it means that Tzadik is giving birth to Kuf. And this is already hinting to me, if you're taking again the Tzadik and the Kuf, and in the middle you have the Chet, the Tzchok, so this is the hint that I get. Now, again, going back to the image, to the person in the Torah is Yitzchak. So I have the Tzadik and the Chet, the Tzadik and the Kuf of Yitzchak, and in between I have the Yud and the Chet in the Yitzchak. Now, when Yitzchak is receiving from the Tzaddik, who's the Tzaddik? When we're talking about the month, Tzaddik is the month of Shvat. But who's Tzaddik? How old was Sarah when she gave birth? She was 90. The numerical value of the letter Tzaddik is 90. So when Yitzchak is receiving from Tzaddik, what happens? He also receiving from another side. I mean, Sarah can't get pregnant by herself. She got pregnant from Avraham. So how old was Avraham? 100 years. Numerical value of Kuf. So when Yitzchak is receiving the 90 from Tzaddik and the 100 from the Kuf, receiving from Sarah and from Avraham, that's when Yitzchak is receiving, so to say, his birth from the Tzaddik and the Kuf. Now what becomes the birth of it? I get two letters, Tzaddik and Kuf. Now we know that the energy in Adar, this energy is called V'nahafocho. Let's turn it upside down. Now if you turn it upside down, first we had a Tzaddik and a Kuf. Now turn it upside down, then what do you get? A Kuf and a Tzaddik. Kuf and a Tzaddik forms the word in Hebrew Ketz. Ketz means the end. Adar is the last month of all the months. Nisan is the first month, not Tishrei. If you go by the calendars, the Jewish calendar, Adar is the last month. So when I switch the letters of Tzaddik and Kuf, what do I get? Ketz. Ketz is the end, the last month of the year. Now, the word Ketz, the end, it's also hinting to the end of days. Ketz Hayamim. The time of the redemption is called Ketz Hayamim, the end of days. This is called the future, the redemption. Now, what is the result of the end? It's called Tchiyat HaMetim, the resurrection of the dead. This is the result of the Ketz. Ketz means the end. Ketz Hayamim, the end of days. What's happening in the end of days? Tchiyat HaMetim, again, a rebirth. And very, very interestingly, that in the prophecy of Daniel, that it's talking about the resurrection of the dead, you can find it in chapter 12, verse 13 in the book of Daniel, where he's talking about the resurrection of the dead. What does he say? V'ta'amod legoralcha ketz hayamim. You're going to stand up, you're going to rise up at the end of the days. It's ketz hayamim. I mean, the verse of Daniel says, and you go to the end of days, and you will rest. First you have to rest, and then you will rise. For what? To your lot, you get your reward at the end of the days. So we know that we first have to rest, and then there's a resurrection of the dead. So again, what is the word that Daniel, the prophet, is using? He uses the word ketz. Ketz is at the end. They're getting up again. Now, what's going to happen when Mashiach is going to come at the end? I mean, it's the beginning. But what is going to happen when Mashiach comes? Revelation of all the secrets. Now we don't have anything. Now we're kind of, looking in the dark. At the end of days, which is really the beginning, what's going to be the biggest present we get? The revelation of all the secrets. Now, what does David HaMelech says about this time? This can be found in chapter Kuf Kaf Vav, in 126. What does David HaMelech says? As then, Yemales Chokpino. Our mouth will be filled of laughter. Now it's so... Really, it's hard to laugh in this world. This is a very hard world. A lot of problems in this world, a lot of sorrow. Just today, you saw in the morning the older man that comes and joins us sometimes on the prayers. He's one of the kids that survived Auschwitz. He's one of the Mengele boys. He doesn't have the number on his hand, he has it on the leg. And he comes here, comes and prays with us, and he always tells us these stories. And this world is full of sorrow. You look at his eyes, you see the sorrow. But nevertheless, going back to our hero here, Yitzchak, you know what Yitzchak saw at the time of the Akedah? He saw Tchiyat HaMetim. The sky opened, he saw everything. And he saw the time of Tchiyat HaMetim. And he saw that's how his name is connected to the time of Tchiyat HaMetim. Now, if you're taking the name of Yitzchak and you're cutting it in half and scribbling the letters, because I told you before, how does Yitzchak get birth? From Kuf and a Tzaddik. So take the Kuf of the Tzaddik and separate it from the Yud and the Chet. What do you get if you rewrite it? Kuf and the Tzaddik forms the word Ketz, the end. And what's the Chet and the Yud? That's what a lot of Jews like wearing on themselves. Chai. A life. So the real life is at the end. So Yitzchak, during the time of the Akedah, of the time of the sacrifice, the sky opened. He already saw the time of Tchiyat HaMetim, and he understood that his name is already hinting of Tchiyat HaMetim, the Ketz and the Chai of the life that comes at the end. So Yitzchak is a very powerful component here. Now, if you remember, I speak about it every month, that every month has a tribe. Every month has a certain tribe that is related to. So what do I do now in Adar Aleph? Which tribe do I have? I'm missing a tribe. So I'm not missing a tribe, because the tribe of Adar Aleph is the tribe of Levi. Interestingly, who's teaching us about it is Levi Yitzchak from Berdichov. So the month of Adar Aleph is corresponding to the tribe of Levi. Now, Levi, I mean, it's not just his name, Levi. At the time of Bet HaMikdash, the Leviim had a job in Bet HaMikdash. What was their job? Singing and making music. Both singing and music. They had to have a very good rhythm. If you don't have a rhythm, you know, a lot of people, I also sing in the shower. I'm not the best of singers, but to be a good musician, a good singer, you have to have rhythm. How do you say rhythm in Hebrew? Ketzev. That's how you say rhythm in Hebrew, ketzev. So the secret of pregnancy is connecting two things together. You can't get pregnant with one party. You need two parties. So the secret of pregnancy is what's called the unity, a chibur. Now, you know when you have a real good tune? When you're taking two beats together. If you take two beats and they don't fit together, it doesn't sound well. If the drum goes like this and the other tune goes, it doesn't fit well. You know when it goes very clean and a harmony? When the beat fits each other. So the word rhythm in Hebrew, I told you ketzev, really the word, you can read it as one way that it means a measurement or to cut. I mean, you know how you say a butcher in Hebrew? Katzav. So you can read it as a measurement or something that you cut. But on the other hand, you also can read it as ketzev. Ketzev is rhythm. The month of Adar and the month of Shvat, the 2 months that create the pregnancy, like we said before, is the Kuf and the Tzadik. So, what letter am I missing here in order to have the rhythm, the ketzev? I'm missing the letter Bet. And then you have the Adar Bet. So you have Adar Aleph and you have Adar Bet. So the Adar Bet, that's when I get the Bet, the letter for the name, to the word ketzev. Now, you know, in order to have singing or music, you have to have rhythm. You have to have this ketzev. And if you don't, it's not going to sound good. Now, in order to receive any type of Ruach HaKodesh, what is called the divine spirit, the Holy Spirit, then you had to have the type of music. And that's called Hashrat HaShechina. If you remember, David HaMelech constantly would play the violin or the harp. And very interestingly, where do we see that in order to receive what's called Hashrat Shechina, Ruach HaKodesh, a Holy Spirit? In the book of Melachim, of Kings 2, in chapter 3, it's talking about a certain king, the king of Yehoshaphat. There was a whole story there, and they went into war, and he was asking, isn't there a prophet around us that can tell us what to do? And they said, there is a prophet around us, Elisha ben Shaphat, go to him. So they go to Elisha ben Shaphat, and what does he tell them? Bring me somebody to play music, and I will get prophecy. And you can read this. This is in Melachim 2, chapter 3, verse 15. The chapter says, and now, fetch a musician. This is what Elisha the prophet says. And it was that when the musician played, the hand of God came upon him. So we see that in order to receive this Hashrat Shechina, this godly revelation, this Holy Spirit, then you need to have some music. So what do I want to take from that? That I have to maintain this sense of what's called the inner rhythm. You know, if something doesn't go in a good rhythm, then it's off. Now what is this rhythm within me? This is the spinal cord, so to say, of my soul. The same way that the back needs a spinal cord, then the soul also needs a spinal cord. And this spinal cord is what's going to assist me to be able to see between something is right when something is wrong, but between the good and between the bad. And that allows me to work on my midot, on my attributes, and to work on my actions, on my behavior. So to summarize the whole class, I know I was throwing a lot of details, but to take it to something practical, the combinations, the connection of the 2 months, we see that it brings birth, and the birth brings the laughter. And the month of Adar is the month that holds in it the energy and the power and the source to reveal this real laughter, the real joy. And that's something that we all want to receive, to reveal within us. The real happiness in me, not something fake. So, but for that has to be this unity, has to be this birth. And the way to do it is that I have to develop within me this yirat shamayim, this God-fearing, so I can close off anything negative that it seems to me like real laughter, but it's not real laughter. So the mission that I have this month is that I need to increase in a lot of God-fearing, in yirat shamayim. Why? Because then I push everything out. And then what would be revealed by default? By default is the real laughter, the real happiness is revealed within me. So what I want to take from that, what I have to focus on in the next 2 months, is in the next 2 months I have to push out anything that is not true happiness or not true laughter that will come from mockery or clownery or any type of behavior like that. What's the way of doing it? Is just to increase God-fearing. Is to be very particular with every little thing that I do, to be particular with my actions. The more yirat shamayim, the more God-fearing that I add, the more I'm particular with every little detail, that I'm, so to say, pushing out anything that is a fake happiness and fake joy. Now, what would be the result of that? Just because the fact that it's a leap year, or Shana Mu'uberet, and the sun and the moon, the months are meeting together, then what is the birth when you're taking the 2 months of Shvat and Adar, the Tzaddik and the Kuf? Then it births real laughter, the Yitzchak, this Tzchok Asar Li Elokim. So you want to take all that. I know I threw a lot of details into the air. Now I have to put it all together. But the point is that you want to focus on your Avodat Hashem to be able to remove any fakeness in your life that by default will invite into your life the real joy, the real happiness, not something that is momentary happiness or something like that, and that will reveal the real happiness. Bezrat Hashem, we have a double power now. We have, instead of only 30 days of happiness, we have 60 days of happiness. So it's the time to really look within yourself and to pull out this real true happiness. And one of the ways of doing it is that you have to really see how good everything is. And it's very easy to look at the bad, but when you look at the good, you see how Hashem is doing so much good, and when you acknowledge that, and when you thank Hashem, then you actually see that the real goodness is, you have to recognize who's really good in your life. Who's the real people who are good to you, and not the fake ones. What's the real good things that Hashem is giving you? Acknowledge it and thank Hashem for that, and that's by default, you push away anything that is fake, and you empower and you emphasize all the real good, and by default, this will birth this laughter, and that's a real laughter that will, Be'ezrat Hashem, take us till the Ketz Hayamim, to the end of days, so we can have the real laughter, and then we're going to win and gain the Chaim Nitzchim, the eternal life, and needless to say, then that's when we're really going to get the revelation of all the secrets. Be'ezrat Hashem, this should happen very soon with the coming of Mashiach.